Hey, it's Aaron from GameEnthus.com, and in this video, we'll be talking about the game Knitting Circle. Knitting Circle is designed by Emily Vincent with art from Beth Sobel. It's also being published by Flatout Games and had development support from many of the members of Flatout Games. In Knitting Circle, a Calico game, players are going to be moving their cute cat meeples around a rondelle to draft and collect yarn tiles, using those tiles to craft various garments like socks, mittens, hats, sweaters, and long johns. In my mind, I just thought long draws. I don't know why. What am I talking about? So without further ado, let's get to the table and let me show you how it works. All right, buddy. I know this is not knitting, but we have to start somewhere. Okay, you're touching it. You're working on it. Come on. Don't embarrass me. I'm recording, buddy. Come on. That's something. First the sewing, then the knitting. I'm not sure if that's the order it goes in. I don't know if that's how that works, but we're working on something. We're accomplishing something. We'll be knitting in no time. This is a two-player setup. I know it looks very busy because you probably don't know what most of this stuff is. And if you do know it, stop showing off and be more modest. There are 144 yarn tiles that come in this bag that say Knitting Circle, which is fitting because the game is called Knitting Circle. So I got this bag, and these are what the tiles look like. We have 12 grabby paws. I guess each player can have 3. Game plays 1 to 4 players. There's a slot on the side of the player boards for up to 3 grabby paws. 8 knitting needle tokens. Everybody gets 2. We have 90 button tokens. These are different scoring bonuses. So this one's flipped up, so I'll just show you this one. For any particular garment that has these 2 colors, you'll get 2 extra points if you happen to have that on your board and can score it on something that you make. This one is for symmetry. Speaking of symmetry, let's talk about patterns. So as you can see, these are the various patterns that are in the game. So we have stripes, color block, symmetry, and solid. And the rules give you examples of which ones fit what. And it's funny how some of them, if you look at the middle symmetry one, it looks like stripe. It is symmetrical, but it's really striped and not, it would count as stripe, not symmetry. In this picture, you can also see the anatomy of a garment card, of which there are many. Everybody starts off with 1. You have the mandatory spaces that are in the upper portion. The white numbers and the blue circles on the left side indicate the number of points that you would get for completing that garment up to that point on the garment card. So if you go all the way down on this particular one, you would get 6 points. Whereas if you only do the first 4 sections, you would get a maximum of 4 points. And the completion bonus is what you would get for completing it. So that particular completion bonus is 2 extra points for doing it, in addition to just grabbing, I believe, any random tile. So that is the anatomy of one of the garment cards. They all have bonuses on the bottom. Some are better than others. This one in particular might be hard to see, but this just gives you 2 points for completing it. So if you only complete it down to this section right here, I'll have to show it to you. So you complete it with just 3 pieces, you would get any random tile from the bag, and then you would get 2 bonus points just for completing it down here. You go all the way down to the bottom, you get 6 points, plus the 2 points for completing. Completing it is just going up to here, but you probably want to get more points, but I don't know, maybe not. So back to these triangle-shaped tiles. These indicate pattern types. So if you complete a garment using a symmetrical pattern, you could apply this to it and get 2 additional points. This one is for doing a solid. A solid would be all 1 color. These square button tokens are bonus points for completing certain types of garments. So this one will give you 3 extra points for completing a sweater. This will give you 1 extra point for completing a pair of mittens. There's 1 mitten pictured here, but I'm assuming it's a pair, even though this just say mitten. I mean, mittens often come in pairs. They don't have to, but I like my mittens in pairs. I'll put it that way. I might be getting personal, but you want a pair of mittens, so that just makes sense. These are ugly garment tokens. So if you complete a garment, but you don't complete a particular pattern, yeah, you would lose 3 points for that garment at the end of the game. So you don't want to get ugly garment tokens applied to things that you've painstakingly spent time and effort to complete. This is the central knitting circle where players are going to be grabbing different types of yarn tiles. This is for a 1 or 2 player game. There's a larger one for a 3 to 4 player game. So yeah, the aforementioned different types: mitten, sock, hat, scarf, sweater, long john. I already mentioned the player board, and you have a basket on your player board that can hold, I believe, up to 2 tiles. There's also a section on the player board that indicates what you do during each phase, in addition to what all the different types of patterns are, as a reminder. Very helpful. Then you have request cards. So 4 are going to come out in a game. So they all can give you points for doing different things. So this one will give you 5 bonus points for having 3 plus each of each color. There's 6 colors total. So it means in all the garments you complete at whatever point in the game, you have 3 of each color. So yeah, that's the thing. That's 5 points. This one is unique sweaters. So 2 sweaters with completely different colors and patterns. No overlap. That seems challenging. You'll see why in a moment. Well patterned. This one is all 4 pattern types, which would be stripes, color block, symmetrical, and solid. One thing about all the request cards is they all have a bonus for completing it first. So for any of them, if you complete it first, you would take a grabby paw token, which basically lets you go into the bag and take out whatever token you need. Very, very useful. And once they're completed, everybody can still get the full amount of points for it. It's still worth 4 points, or how many points is designated. It's just that the first person that does it gets the grabby paw token. Everybody else just gets the points. So we have the central board here. These 6 yarn tiles represent sort of a round counter. So each round, whoever the starting player is for that round will take one of these and then replace one of the ones around the board, and then discard the one that it replaces. So if you really want a yellow here, because maybe you're this gray on here, you could just remove that and then put that in there, and then you would discard the one. So also, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the little cat meeples, which are very cute in different poses. This one's stretching, and this one looks like it's just sort of playing with something. Oh, I dropped it. It did land on his feet. So this one's sort of playing or touching something. This one is stretching forward. So I'll put them on the sides. They can be seen a little bit better. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that there's 2 sides to every yarn tile. You have a knit tile, which typically looks like this, and a purl style. And if you look on the actual patterns on the garment cards, you can see that it often is going to alternate. So knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And you have to be able to put the tiles you want or need on the right side. You can't put the purl side where the knit one should go. It doesn't even look right. Look at that. It's crazy. It's shaking. It's all over the place. So one thing to consider. That will definitely dictate the moves that you make while you're playing the game. So those are most of the components. Everybody starts off with all of their button types, 2 different types. The button types, 2 tiles in their bowl. The nice thing about these are they can be flipped over, and you'll see how that works in just a second, and put on either side. The ones you take from here have to go in the 4 designated spots on your board, but they have to go like you get them. So if you get a tile that's knit side up, it has to go knit side up, so it's knit. You can't just flip it because you want to. Trust me, I tried. People at the table said no, and I got upset. Inside, I didn't show it. But I'm saying too much. One thing I should definitely mention is that if you have a tile that you wish to be on the opposite side, you want a knit tile to be on the purl side or a purl side to be the knit side, you can always discard another tile back to the bag and then flip over that tile to whatever side you wish to use it as. So, on your turn, the first phase of the game is drafting. So, however you designate who goes first, they will go first. This brief example, player on over here with the gray cat, there's a gray and then the orange cat. This player is going to go first. Okay, here you can move 1 or 2 spaces. So I can move here and take one of these, or move here and take one of these. So taking a look at what I have here for this sock. So actually the first piece is I need a knit piece. Now either one of these can fit the bill, that's fine. Maybe I want to do, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I want to do striped. So I do this. Let's say I move 2 spaces, and then I'm going to take this one. I'll put this at the top of my board, and that would be my turn. And then the player controlling the orange cat would move 1 or 2 spaces as well. Once each player has 4 yarn tiles at the top of their boards, that signals that the draft phase is over, and then you go to the action phase, which happens simultaneously. I also just realized I should have taken this out of the game to show that we were starting the first round. Oops. Oops again. Crafting phase, you're going to start working on your garment. You start the game off with a garment by default. However, in order to take a new garment, you can only be working on 2. I believe the max you can be working on is 2, as you only have 2 of these. The only way to get another garment that you can start working on is to give up something. So looking at the colors I have 2 greens, a teal, and this pink one. Yeah, just like pink color. Well, it's multiple types of pink, shades of pink. So what I can do is I can get a sweater, long johns, or a hat, because you have to give up that color. If you look on the back of the cards, you have to give up. That's why there's an X on it. So you have to give up a tile with this symbol on it, which is always going to be in this color, in order to do that. So the teal have that symbol on it. You give that up, remove it from your play area. Then you would draw 2 from the top of whatever deck of the color that you gave up, and then you choose 1 and then put the other one on the bottom of the deck. This is an example. I'm just going to be working on this sock over here. So taking a look here, keep in mind that I have to keep these. This has to stay knit. This has to say purl, knit, knit. So I don't have that many options. So I can put that one down and start this sock. So then I can do that. And then maybe I do this. And once you cover up a bonus, this one just has a question mark. That means I can reach into the bag. So now I've completed this sock because I went up to here. So if I just stop, it'd be worth 1 point. So I get 1 random tile. And how fortuitous. It is green. I put it in here, which means I can flip it on any side I want to, which is nice. And then I could take that one and glad it's green. So this one is technically symmetrical, but it would count as striped. And of course, looking over here, I have symmetrical and solid. Also don't have the bonuses over here. I don't have bonuses for any of these colors, so none of these would apply to the sock, unfortunately. But, you know, that also indicates and gives you an idea of what you should be getting. So I probably want to get a mitten and get a sweater at some point, start working on them, so I can use these, get the bonuses, and then, you know, and then lock down those points and move on. Now I'm thinking about it. I could do a solid sock, but it'll only go up to here, as I have 3 of these. But I don't know. If I do a solid sock, that only gives me 1 point because it only goes down to here. Because it would just be these 3 going up to here. But I could add this to it, which is solid, and get 4 more points. That's probably, well, this is worth 6 for doing it this way. So going into the next round, everybody does all of their crafting and getting new garments, and places all their applicable tokens. You would replenish all these to 2 different tiles. It's for a 2-player game. You replenish all these spaces here, and then the orange cat, whoever that player is, would be able to take one of the ones in the center and replace one of the ones on the outer ring, getting rid of that one. And they're going to obviously want to place it somewhere where they're going. So if they're starting from here in the next round, I want to place something here or here because this is 1 or 2 steps away from where they currently are. So that does give the starting player of that round a nice little advantage to try to get something that they can really find useful, assuming that there's something in the center that they find useful. And that's sort of the flow of the game. All right, so that is Knitting Circle, Calico game. And for those who are not familiar with Calico, Calico was focused on creating patterns for a quilt, I believe, or a blanket that you're trying to get certain cats to come over and sleep on. And it's a whole thing. I do enjoy Calico. This definitely, in my opinion, is definitely worthy of that Calico name, and it's different, but you can it has that same kind of, it's different, but has the same kind of cozy-ish feel that Calico has. It also has some of that brain burningness where you're trying to figure out, how can I get these patterns in Calico? But in this game, Knitting Circle, you're trying to figure out, how can I get the right color tiles? How can I get them to the right side? And do I have the right garments in front of me in order to earn points for completing them in and of themselves, in addition to hopefully using some of those other button tokens to make them worth even more points. I think it does a very good job threading that needle of cuteness combined with difficulty and sort of pre-planning as best you can that Calico does, but does it in a very different and unique way. And it's also nice to see the Calico universe expanding. Like, that's pretty cool. So yes, there is a Calico universe, but only one timeline. Anyway, there'll be a link in the description for the crowdfunding page where you can go and back this game if you think it looks fun. I thought it was fun. I think it is fun. Anyway, I'm Aaron, GameEnthus.com. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, and be blessed.